This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the very enthusiastic founder of Kaiser Research, Mr. John Kaiser. John, we started to chat briefly off air, and you were sharing your sentiments on this junior resource bull market. And I stopped you mid sentence and I said, can you please save that enthusiasm for the interview? So, first and foremost, welcome back. Great to have you back on. How are you feeling about this market?
Gerardo, thanks for having me on. The market's kind of stalled a bit after that big rally that we had in September, sort of stalled mid-October, but we are in that tax loss selling season at the end of the year, and I'm happy because this is also the bottom fishing season. So
Mm.
I'm going through everything, finding new ones, updating the existing ones, and of course there's ones like Headwater Gold Corp, which I promoted to the favorites from the bottom
Mm.
fish collection earlier this year. So I'm expecting that in January we will have one hell of a January effect like we have not seen in this poor space for a long time.
That's exciting. I agree with you 100%. By the way, I had been preaching all of 2025 that the second half of 2025 was the one that I was really excited about, and that 2026 was going to be kind of the spaceship that really took things to the next level. It certainly is shaping up to be that way with commodity prices, right? Either you can look at gold, you can look at silver, you can look at copper making brand new all-time highs. Lithium's even rebounded. Uranium's got a solid, base around that $86 level on the contract pricing and looks poised to head higher. You mentioned Headwater and you mentioned upgrading Headwater. The last time you were here, you and I were chatting about a $65 million deal with Oceana Gold that Headwater had executed for, a potential expenditure of up to 65 million if all stages were met and finalized. They just signed a $25 million earn-in agreement with Centerra Gold, and I'd love to get your take. I mean, it's phenomenal what Caleb and the team over at Headwater has been able to do in the past 12 months, bring in majors to fund large exploration programs.
Okay, well let's sort of start. What were the missing pieces in the beginning of the year when I had it as a bottom fish? So one was Newmont was going to vest 51% at Spring Peak, and if they stayed 51-49, that would be bad news for Headwater because it would have to raise money according to whatever Newmont wants to do. But it turns out that that project's sort of stuck in this U.S. Forest Service permitting limbo. They did have that fortunate FAST 41 inclusion, which means by October next year, the Forest Service has to say yes or no to a very large plan of operations. So that project, that's a potential huge one with multi-billion-dollar outcome because it's an undercover story looking at virgin territory in Nevada. Now, they made the decision, we're going to 65%. So, boom, that's great. So, they're not going to be on the hook. Then, they have this hybrid strategy of, we don't just generate prospects and do a little bit of geochem and geophysics. We also like to drill a few scout holes, 3 to 6 holes, just to sort out the third dimension, because their strategy is to look at these epithermal systems in Nevada, western United States, where they've poked at in the past, but never gone deep enough to find the boiling zone, the feeder zone, which is sort of knowledge that's really only 20 years old. And a lot of these targets were explored in the 80s and 90s. But their treasury was not very high, so you don't go out doing these scout drilling holes unless you have more money. So getting these extra deals, first the Oceana one, and now the Crane Creek one with Centerra, that means there is work being done by others. Now, they net 25%, 30% or so, which means that how the stock's being priced right now,
Right.
it's not exactly fair speculative value. It's poor speculative value. But on the other hand, you're now diversified, and you could get a barn burner hole out of, say, the Lodestar that
Mm.
Newmont is drilling. They're just wrapping up that program, and Oceana has been drilling the TJ project, also a sinter system. Go deeper, find out what's going on at depth. The results won't come until mid-February, but we're going to be riding right into this. And they have the 100% option too. They're looking at Whiskey. That's a brand new prospect that they may have to drill those scout holes.
Yep.
And the other one is Midas North. Hecla has found more veins within its Midas project to the south. It's shaping up to be a significant district. And Caleb's now sort of thinking, do we farm this out to somebody, or is this something where we should do some more of this drilling? And they've got a new person in charge who's very familiar with the Midas system. And they're now looking very closely at where should the next round of holes go. Now, if they get an offer that they cannot refuse, they will take it. And they went on a staking binge in August, September, and they have yet to reveal where those projects are. So that portfolio has been expanded. That's why it's among my top rated favorites for that prospect generator farm out model, where they have a hybrid strategy that also gives them a chance at snagging low hanging fruit and having the stock go to the moon based on 100% ownership.
No, look, in this market, one hole takes that stock to $2, right? And they have lots of shots on goal here going into 2026. I'm excited for those February assays, right? And as always, I'm impatient, so I'm hoping they rush some of those and get some of those back earlier than that. But I think I agree with you 100% that January of 2026 is going to be off to the races, especially for the quality juniors that are doing quality work. Can you speak to the team over at Headwater? You know the team very, very well, their technical acumen. Can you speak to how important that is in this market? Because look, we've seen these markets before, maybe not one like this, but we've seen bull cycles where everybody that had a project in their back pocket for the last 20 years dust it off. They put a new bow on it, they rename it, and come out with shell companies and try to capture the market's attention. Real companies with real projects are a different beast, and Headwater is one of those real companies. Can you speak to their technical acumen and why that's so important in this type of market?
Okay, so most of these prospect generator type have very technically qualified management, geology knowledge. They know what a good prospect is, what a poor prospect is. They go through the data archives and find what they can, and they stake or lease these projects if there's some old timer who still owns these unpatented claims. And in this regard, Caleb Stroop's team, he's right there with everybody else. But they have an extra piece of magic. Caleb's former job that he did with Kinross has made him very, very connected. So you've noticed they haven't done any of these little junior farm outs. This is what you were alluding to earlier, the lifestyle companies
Yep.
who are looking for a story all prepped up by a prospect generator. They farm in, they drill maybe one or two holes, waste the season, and then walk away, try to pump the stock and dump their paper into it. Caleb has only done farm outs to majors, and
Yeah.
that's important. The majors are looking at the quality of the work, but he also has the inroads to get to talk to them, to have them take him seriously. So there may be even more of these producers farming in. And the big thing with the gold producers is, even though they have responded well since July to the fact that gold is at $4,000,
Yep.
there's still this mentality out there that, gold, this is just like, 2011, 13, it'll go up, it'll crash back 50%, and we'll be back to $2,000. So the fund managers, the institutions are all saying, don't be stupid and acquire new projects and build new mines. Just enjoy this cash flow windfall while you have it and pay it back to us through share buybacks or dividends. And that, in other words, is telling the gold producers, you are a sunset industry. Deplete your deposits and all that, and then go away and die. When in fact, I think what's happening with gold is very similar to 1980. We have a fundamental real price resetting of it to reflect the fact that the world order is being reordered by the Trump administration in a way that injects a lot of uncertainty and encourages everybody else to want to drift away from dependency on the US dollar and the US economy. And gold is that bridge away from America. Americans aren't buying gold. You look at the GLD ETF, and it's up a little bit. Starting in about 2023, the gold price trend, which was always correlated with the holdings of the GLD ETF, it disconnected. So gold price has gone way up, and that holdings has flatlined and only recently started to rise a bit. This is central bank, secret central bank
Yep.
buying that, stashing it away, and high net worth around the world
Yep.
that's worried. Where is this all going to end to? And wait till the North American investors
Yeah.
discover gold. If maybe Bitcoin crashes to its intrinsic value of zero, and all the ones who blow it out and dump it into the laps of the dummies who are buying the dip, they take that money and redeploy it into the gold sector. And that's again where the leverage is in the juniors, the
Yeah.
advanced juniors. The exploration juniors like Headwater, they're a little bit farther down in the sort of a food chain, but there's other ones that are like my top picks, Vista Gold. These are
Yeah.
ounces in the ground that are
Yeah.
hugely in the money, but
Yeah.
the market's pricing them as no, you got to use $2,000 gold where, it's hit or miss whether you want to develop this. So when this inflection happens, when the producers get the green light, they'll know, okay, you need to grow your future revenue base. You need to go find these deposits, develop them.
Yep.
Then you'll see M&A activity going on. And then you'll also see these increased joint ventures. And this is where Headwater, it could have a dozen of these farm outs with majors, because when the majors get the green light, no, don't just give us back the money you've made, start investing it.
Yeah.
Then you'll see a world completely different from the last decade of bear market that we've had to endure.
It's going to be a fun 2026. You called it the mother of all bull markets off air. I couldn't agree more. Anything to add to that, John?
All I can say is I'm primed. I have my Substack, Kaiser Research Substack, where I present all my favorites. I've got 30 of them right now. They're fabulous companies. Some of them have done extremely well. Most of them, they're still in this awakening mode. The big inflection has not yet happening. That's why I'm so busy this December preparing for that mother of all resource junior bull markets.
That's the opportunity, folks. John, a pleasure as always, sir. Thank you for your time.
Gerardo, thank you very much.
All right. Have a great one. Hey everybody, Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.